As Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes are preparing for a massive recruiting weekend for the 2024 class, there are two prospects that I want to talk about. And these are prospects that ultimately I think Colorado will end up landing. Will it be early in the cycle or will it be later in the cycle after Colorado and Coach Prime have proved what they can do at that program? And I think it's a topic of conversation that we got to talk about. But before we dive into it, please go ahead, hit that like and the subscribe button. Let me know what you all are thinking down in the comments below. Where do you guys think the Colorado recruiting class is going to end at the end of the 2024 cycle? So, Ellis Robinson, the 5-star cornerback out of IMG Academy, 6 foot, 175 pounds, has his commitment date currently set for February 1st. And the question is, looming on everybody's mind, will he pick Colorado? And I'm not going to lie, it's a little weird to go to 247 and look up the primary recruiters and see Deion Sanders' name next to Colorado. Still not used to it. But he's looking at Georgia, Alabama, Miami, LSU, some of the top programs, and the outlier there being Colorado. Now, you hear me say that because Colorado necessarily has not been a program that is in these kind of recruitments, but Coach Prime certainly has. Because Coach Prime has flipped the number one cornerback now 2 years in a row. And assuming that he actually signs Cormani McClain, he could be going for number 3 with Ellis Robinson, which, when you look at it, that's got to be a pretty impressive feat. And I don't know if there's anybody else that has done what Coach Prime has done at the cornerback position in terms of recruiting. And although I don't think Ellis Robinson picks Colorado on February 1st, and I could very well be wrong, I think he picks Georgia on February 1st. I do think later in the cycle, after he sees some of the games for Colorado, sees some of the improvements on that Colorado team, he'll feel a little bit more comfortable with committing to Colorado. And I think you're going to probably see that with a lot of commits. You guys are going to get all excited because you're in the top 5, and there's real reason to be excited there, right? Like, you're there. You're in those battles. It just comes down to, I think, some of these players want to go ahead and start locking down their positions because at a place like Georgia, Ellis Robinson's got he's got a couple shots to get in there, but if he misses his window, he misses his window. And so if you're a guy like Ellis Robinson, go ahead and lock your spot in with Georgia. And then later in the season, when Colorado has progressed and you see what they've been able to do and you see the turnaround, you feel more comfortable with it, flip. It's not that hard. And I think Colorado fans are going to have to be willing to accept that this first year because you guys don't have a year on the field yet of production of what Coach Prime can do at Colorado. And so I think players are going to want to wait it out a little bit and see exactly what he's able to do and how he's able to turn around that program. So ultimately, that's my prediction for Ellis Robinson. I could be wrong. Don't really have any insider information. Haven't talked to the kid, but just kind of what I think. I do want to talk about another prospect that I think Colorado needs to land, and it's the former 5-star, now 4-star defensive lineman, 6'6", 265-pound monster, T.A. Cunningham out of Los Alamos High School. Now, ultimately, I think this is going to be a rough battle because I think USC is going to really want this kid. I think USC is going to go all in on this kid. And Coach Prime is going to have to start dipping into his bag of tricks. You're going to have to get Charles Kelly out there. You're going to have to get Tim Brewster in on this one. But this is a recruitment that I think is very winnable for Colorado, and I think one they need to because you need to start getting bigger guys on your defensive line because if you notice, in places like the Pac-12 and the Big 12, that's not necessarily something you see. You don't see big defensive linemen. You see that in the SEC and the Big 10, but that's kind of what sets the Big 12 and the Pac-12 apart. But if you notice, when the Pac-12 and the Big 12 go to play the SEC and the Big 10, they get beat because they don't have those big men on the defensive line. And they don't have those big men on the offensive line. And I think that's kind of where Coach Prime is going to have to focus some of his attention, and he's going to have to put his best recruiters up front. Is 4 guys like this. And again, with a very winnable battle in T.A. Cunningham, this is one that I don't think Colorado can miss on. Now, yes, there have been some things that have happened with T.A. Cunningham that have been just, it's kind of sad, but ultimately, the guy's going to be a great player, and the kid is going to go be able to start and ball out anywhere he goes. And later in this recruiting cycle, T.A. Cunningham is going to be a highly coveted and recruited player. At one point, a lot of OU people thought that he was going to come to Oklahoma, which I believe his crystal ball was pulled for Oklahoma. I believe there was a crystal ball at one point put in for him in Oklahoma. So it's just something you guys have to keep an eye on. But go ahead, jump down in the comments below, and let me know what you think about these two prospects for Colorado. Do you agree with me that you're going to have to give it time for these recruits to commit to Colorado because they're going to need to see on-field production?